New Thought Media Network proudly presents It's All Love, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, with Laura Mock, Maria Hartman, Wendy Ann, and Lara Brzezinski. It's All Love, a space where we open into the heart, tap into the soul's deep wisdom, and enter into the energy of love, truth, presence, and joy. It's All Love, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Hello, everyone. The two Lauras in the house tonight. Laura, it's good to see your face. I love you. I've missed you. So welcome, everybody, to It's All Love, a sacred space where we open our hearts, awaken soul's wisdom, and align with the energy of love, truth, presence, and joy. We believe that all experiences, everything is an expression of love or a call to love. And at the core of each of us is this infinite well of wisdom waiting to be expressed. And so today, through heartfelt conversations, meditations, we invite you to come into our community to experience love in the most profound and authentic ways. So, again, welcome. And a lot of times we start with a very short, guided meditation that grounds us as well as invites you into this space, opening our heart. So, Laura, we can jump right into that if you'd like. And then we have some great ideas for today. um, we should always record what goes on before this podcast, too. It's a lot of fun. All right. So, if I invite everyone to just however you feel best connected, to close your eyes. You may leave them open. You may lay down. I like closing my eyes. Sometimes I like to put my hands on my heart. And just take this time to know that you're here. So with that deep breath, again, as Laura reminded me before the podcast, awareness, awareness, awareness is everything at the beginning. So we're going to invite you into the awareness of your breath into your body. And I would invite you to put your hand on your heart if you feel, or you may feel another part of your body where the breath maybe is not going as deep, or there may be something painful emotionally or physically. But I invite you to put your hand here. And as you're aware of this beautiful breath that is you, you are the breath and it is you. You are it. Allowing your hand with this beautiful energy going through into your body. And again, saying to yourself, I am here. Allowing these powerful words to the breath bring you to this present moment. And again, with a deep breath, I am here. And something you can take this further. You can begin with I am love. And if that's hard for you to say, then I encourage you to dig deep and say it anyway. I am love. And with another breath, we'll do a third. you may finish it what you may feel you need. If you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling stuck, or any other kind of emotion where you're not feeling in your wholeness, you can go to the opposite of those emotions. Or you may say, I am whole. I am in my full wholeness. I am worthy. I am loved. Take a few moments to feel. Allow your breath, this love that is you, to fill your entire body and let it begin to radiate as you are a bright light. And we are grateful that you are here. May bring your awareness back to where you are right now. And know that we are grateful that you are here in any way that you show up. We know it is so, and so it is. Okay.
And well, so it is. Oh, man, if every person started their day that way, if every business meeting started with that sentence.
I know. And I am excited because, again, before this podcast, you reminded me of that critical piece of awareness. And I know you've been a little busy lately. We have not seen you in a moment. So, taking that awareness and curious about what you have been experiencing lately, any ahas you've been having. I know you had a great trip recently. Anything you want to share?
Yeah, so I'm Lara, Lara, and Laura, I was talking with her prior about this past weekend. I was in Las Vegas with Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski, who has created this New Thought Media Network, and we were there filming a retreat conference. They call it New Thought in the Desert, linked in spirit, joined in joy.
Oh.
And we all lived into that. It was all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then Sunday culminated with a service with an out-of-town guest minister. And it was phenomenal because the concept of New Thought is ancient teachings brought forward that we are living in our own lives now, but it's a way of living, thinking, being that puts us in control of our lives. I'm going to divert for a minute today. I was thinking about the power of my fork. I don't have one, but I was thinking about my fork as I was putting it into cantaloupe and thinking, I am in control of my fork, right? So what I put on it and what goes into my mouth, right? And it's this thinking about that I am in charge and in control of everything I do, everywhere I go, who I hang out with, showing up in this podcast, taking myself to this weekend. So this weekend was a culmination of a number of different, what are considered New Thought philosophies, people from different backgrounds of teaching that came together. We had some ministers and practitioners who grew up in agape. And we had some ministers and teachers who grew up in the philosophy of unity. And we had some ministers and practitioners there who grew up in Centers for Spiritual Living, which is the teaching of religious science. And we all came together as human beings wanting to be served and supported and enlightened and expanded and serving, right? Being served, but serving. And it was such an amazing experience of love, just
Mm.
friendliness, kindness, helping, sharing. And like every day, I just felt like my heart was, I say expanded, because it was just like, wow, out of my chest. Right. And the energy was incredible. And so that was definitely an environment of it's all love, where everyone
I mean,
came.
I'm very jealous right now, but yeah. Wow.
Yeah, everyone came together and was this heart-centered expression, serving and being served, right? And some people aren't quote unquote practitioners. They were lay people who were there to receive, and in their expression, their smiles, their participation in the workshops, right? They were also giving. It was
Mhm.
it was amazing. It was so I guess what I wanted to talk about today is, if you're not feeling that
Yeah.
life in general is it's all love, especially with the news and what's going on around, how do you bring yourself back to that space inside? Like this weekend, it's easy when you sit and listen to somebody that's
Right.
passionate and empowering. It's easy to feel, oh, I'm so filled up with love. What do we do when we're in our house and we watch the horrific news that, you know, whatever has unfolded today, because it seems like every day there's something that is heartbreaking
Right.
or heart wrenching, right? So I'm going to throw it to you first for some ideas.
Great.
But what can an individual do? And then we'll talk about how to find, the communities, but on our own. What are some of the things that,
Yeah.
that you do?
Yeah. And I think the question you're saying is when you don't feel love or you're not feeling fulfilled or you're feeling there's a struggle and really alone, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to the thing that you said earlier and that I put into the meditation is about awareness. I think the first step is we say that we're aware that we're feeling a certain way, but I think sometimes we avoid it. We avoid that feeling and we're running here and running there and keeping ourselves so busy. And then that slowly eats away at us, that how we're feeling alone. We're not feeling love. We're feeling all this stress. And so there's different types of awareness in well, from what I've experienced. The first awareness is like there may be a lot of emotions happening, but I'm not really aware deeply of what's going on underneath it. Like I'm deeply feeling alone, or I'm deeply scared, or I'm deeply stressed. I'm not feeling secure, all those things. And then, um, and so to dive deeper within, like, what is really going on with me? I usually ask people, and I know I ask this for myself, if I'm feeling something that where I'm not feeling love, I'm not feeling enough, I'm not, whatever that may be, I will ask myself or someone else, what am I really afraid of here? What am I afraid of? Because I think it always comes back to a fear of some kind. What am I afraid of? And what's so interesting to me, I know this again personally and then professionally, when we ask that question, we will find an answer. We'll become aware of what we're deeply afraid of. And usually it's very simple. It's not as complex. I mean, we may be afraid I'm not going to have any money, or I'm not going to find a partner, or I'm not going to have, but underneath it is like, am I worthy? Do I have, am I worthy to take up space that we were talking about earlier? Am I worthy? I'm not going to ever be loved. It always goes back to self-worth. Always, always, always. And so I'm afraid I'm not going to live a life that's fulfilled, whatever it is. And so the first step to me is awareness. And then when we express it and we may cry, we may be angry, or whatever, I think a lot of people are like, okay, then let's dive in and fix it. But I think there's something to be said about helping, and Laura, you do this so well with people, is helping hold the space of just letting them feel the feelings of the fear. of the anxiety, of the shame, of the guilt, whatever it may be. And sometimes just bringing it out into the surface can be deeply healing. And we don't have to do anything in that moment for a while. And then I'll throw it back to you because I think after the awareness of like, what am I afraid of in the emotion, and you allow yourself to feel, because in society, and Laura, again, we were talking about this about when you work with moms and women, we don't always feel like we have time to feel, and we're not allowed to feel. We got to take care of everybody else. So to give yourself permission to feel, even if it's scary, is very powerful. And then what would you do with that, Laura? Like if the awareness is there, someone's coming to you, I'm aware that I'm not feeling enough. I don't feel enough. Then what would you do?
I would actually use a similar tool to what we started with. And it's because most of it starts in our head, right?
Right.
And then we just keep running with it. And if we can stop that, all right, I have the awareness. More and more, I'm hearing from different teachers out there about the power of emotions as our alert system.
Right.
Right. The emotion is bringing your attention to something that is calling for your attention. And it's to look at it and say, what is going on? And what is the truth of the situation, not my perspective of the situation? What's the truth going on here? And then getting out of that emotion before it drops into this overwhelming feeling where we're a puddle of tears, we're crawling back under the covers, we're angry, we're, road raging or short-tempered with our kiddos. And that simplest tool is to drop into the body, drop into our heart, which is part of where this whole talk, our name of our show came from. It's all love, is because we need to get into our heart and feel from there. And how can I just take a breath, put my hand on my heart, do something to draw our attention out of our brain and into this physical container that's housing us. And from there, that's where, okay, looking at this situation with curiosity, with compassion, with empathy, with wonder, all of the things, and what might be happening that's underneath, or why did I react so strongly? Wow, there's a hurt in me.
Yeah.
And then
I think, go ahead.
What can I do about it? I was just going to say, and from curiosity, it's like, okay, so now what? And that pause is where, the answer, the response, we talk about a reaction versus a response.
Yeah.
When there's a pause, we can respond versus react.
And you're always talking about that pause. And it's the pause of permission, I feel. Because again, we've been talking about, in general, this is for all people. We've in general been talking about women and mothers and caregivers. And when you were saying, when the emotion is the body's alert system, if you're taught, and again, at a very young age, or societal, or, we're talking about gender roles and norms and things like that, I cannot feel. Feeling this is bad. And what you're saying, what we're saying is it's okay to feel. And you can be spiritual and feel. I don't know how you can go into your heart if you don't allow it to feel something. It's okay to feel and take the time. And again, giving yourself permission to take the time to be like, why am I so short-tempered? I'm not using any personal examples about why am I walking in the house and the dishes are all in the sink and I want to scream at somebody Nothing personal there. Nothing that I can relate to there, of course.
It never happens in my house. I can't relate at all.
I know you can't. Not at all. But I will tell you, and I don't always catch it. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I don't always catch it with me, like, especially if I'm ever extending myself. And but I've now trained my brain, like what Laura said. And I did take training, and frankly, it took a couple mentors for me. But it was, like you said, having the courage to feel the feeling and then take a pause and be like, this is something more. There's something more going on here, and I'm going to give myself permission to pause and to feel it. In the moment you do that, you do exactly what Laura says. You go from here, the curiosity starts moving down into your heart to feel it. And then that's where I think real potential starts. So Laura, all right, I love this little back, and I like, okay, Ting, your turn. So what would you do? So now you've got someone that's feeling it. We both have experienced it ourselves. We both have clients that have experienced this. If you're feeling it, you're feeling a lot. There may be a lot suppressed that's been going on. What's something that someone can do after the pause and the acknowledgement, if at that moment, because we're going to do two things, like if that moment they don't have anyone they can call, they don't have the community right at that moment. You said something, I can't, and I apologize, I don't remember if it was before the podcast or during the podcast. I think it was before. So if it's not there and they don't know what to do, what would you suggest? What would you suggest?
Well, it's getting curious with the why questions. Why am I triggered? Right? And continuing to ask yourself, what am I feeling, if I could name it, right? And it is taking the time to, and it could be quick, but acknowledging and saying, why am I so triggered by the dishes in the sink? I know I've asked them to clean up after themselves, and what is the meaning? Multiple times. What is the meaning that I'm making of this?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's whatever it might be. It could be the feeling, I feel like I'm not being respected. They don't respect my request. It's my kitchen. Yes, you get to use it, but it's my kitchen.
That's deeper, Laura.
My kitchen. Right. And
I would say you're a former chef. You're a chef, so we will give you that. I'll give you that.
They know it's Mama's kitchen. They need to clean up after themselves. Don't you know the clean as you go rule? You can't survive in a restaurant without that. But anyway, and usually, it's not about the dishes. It's about the meaning that we attach to the dishes. Yeah. And then what is that attached to? Where did that come from? In one of my first grief workshops, where I had been going to learn more and help heal some grief, she talked about the magician's scarf. Ooh. That sometimes, that an incident that seems trivial, that why am I crying over that dead baby squirrel that's on the ground? I have no attachment to it. But if we pull out this magician's scarf, there's another grief that's attached to it. And she said, and you just keep pulling that, all of the grief that we've ever, the loss, they're all attached. And so there might be a trigger on the surface that there's a deeper loss that never got acknowledged, healed. It was stuffed. As part of this weekend, we had beach balls that were in one of the workshops, and somebody was talking about emotions that we don't allow ourselves to feel and come out. Yes. They get stuffed like a beach ball, and the pressure eventually they explode out. They don't just nicely pop to the surface, right? And the longer they've been stuffed, sometimes the more powerful the eruption. And so it's allowing ourselves the opportunity. And sometimes it really is as simple as picking up pen and paper and just getting it out of here and out of here. And then all of a sudden you can look at, because now you're distancing from whatever that, and we're not talking about the dishes that you necessarily have to go journal about. The dishes.
Well, you could though. Like, it would be interesting if that's the prompt. Why are the dishes really making me mad? Why am I feeling this? And there may be action. There may be better communication that needs. There may be some action, but what I see you doing is you're taking an action step. And I feel like the moment you allow yourself to feel it, you're putting action behind it of some kind. Like what you said, I think before the podcast too, was like, okay, and this is a worth thing. You got to, you're beginning to step into your worth. But if like take one small action, and we can talk about what those can be. We may do that after the commercial. I've gotten so used to paying attention to that. But what could be one small action that I can take if it's not there? This is what you were saying earlier. If it's not there, but I'm here, maybe I'm the one creating it. Maybe I'm taking a chance and being vulnerable and telling somebody, a friend of mine, hey, I'm struggling with this. Do you ever deal with this kind of stuff? Or sometimes if you can find a healthy online community of something like, check out all the podcasts on this network, but finding a healthy community that's like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I'm feeling this. Anybody else out there? Take a chance. Take a chance. And you create an action step knowing that you're worthy. And you keep doing it until you find your people. Oh, you froze there for a minute. Oh, you're back. Okay. So we can talk about more of those steps. Do you want to do that after a commercial? Would that be okay?
That sounds great. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. I am going to tell you what this commercial is about, and then you get to watch it. So as New Thought Media Network supports New Thought organizations in documenting for historical purposes, but also getting the message and the information out to a broader audience now, helping to invite people into the container of community, into the container of empowering yourself in your own life. And one of the most fabulous containers that I have been introduced to is the Affiliated New Thought Network's annual conference, which happens the second week of October this year in Kansas City at Unity Village. And it has been so heart expanding, and it's like this big family, and that's what you'll see in the commercial. So I'm kind of repeating, but from speaking from experience of being there, I'm going on my third year. So it feels like a family reunion every time we go and connect. And oh my goodness, talk about a container that is welcoming and full of love. All right, we will be right back.
Love about Anson is the community, the people. I get to come here every year and pick up right where I left off with so many wonderful soul-centered friends.
This is our first time here, and I can't tell you the joy I've felt listening to the wonderful words of the people who are teaching us and sharing with us.
I've enjoyed every topic that's been talked about, and I've enjoyed the people. They're knowledgeable, they're loving, and it's a great space to spend a few days for yourself and for others.
You feel the love. It is literally palpable.
Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer, Board President of the Affiliated New Thought Network, Anson, speaking to you live and direct from Unity Village outside of Kansas City. We are a beloved spiritual community, and we'd love to have you join us.
So if you're thinking about about it, and you'd like to have a deep dive into your own soul and connect with others that are doing the same thing, then you might want to consider coming to the Anton Retreat next year in 2025 here at Unity Village. Peace and blessings to you.
Oh, here I come. I know I'm a little blurry. We'll come back, but I will tell you, I have to give my 2 cents on that retreat. I think you came the years that I can, and I can't go this coming year either. The fall is a little busy for me these days. But when my son graduates, I'll come back. But I will tell you everything that these are some of the most wonderful, loving, open, kind, fun. You can cry, you will laugh. And it's one of my favorite places to be. And I love how Anton and the Unity Village in itself is this beautiful place. And this, I mean, you walk in the grounds and you're changed. And then you bring all this community together. It's where I met Laura's husband, Robert, for the first time, and just so many wonderful people. Like I know it'll probably be 5 years total before I'll be able to go back. And I know there are going to be faces that I'm going to recognize that are going to remember me. And I know that I'm just going to fall into their arms again. And and the speakers and the authentic connections there are, yeah. And I don't they have, Laura, tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm advertising something that's not there, but don't they usually do a live broadcast too from there that people can go into?
Yep, we're doing Tuesday night is an open session, and then there's a couple of workshops and a couple of speakers. You could purchase a ticket to attend the virtual retreat, but there's also some that are free. So we have the Emerson Institute graduation of ministers and practitioners that will be Thursday night. That will be live. But I just want to circle back to what Reverend Dr. Ali Benjamin said. Maybe she's just Reverend Ali Benjamin said, where she says a deep dive into your soul.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I agree.
It is the opportunity to just connect and then be in a community that it's like a love bath.
It really is. The whole thing, the whole time. Even just sitting and eating with someone. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's so powerful to surround yourself with like-minded, like-hearted people. And that container is we're all there to expand. We're all there to continue to learn and grow and say, how can I live a deeper expression of myself on this soul life journey, right? We all only get one precious life in this body. We might come back in another form. We don't know. But we have one magnificent, precious life. And I love coming to these because every time I do, I feel like something healed. I shifted a perspective. I gained a new awareness, and I'm walking more confidently, more responsibly, being responsible for myself with more awareness, all of it. And so if not this one, I do want to say that Anton, ANTN, Affiliated New Thought Network, is a community that operates outside of just their conference. And It is a place where you can show up online and meet spiritual teachers. They have Thought Leader Thursdays. They have a workshop once a month. And they have a call to prayer once a month on Tuesdays. And so it's a way to dive in and be part of a community where it is about learning and expanding and growing. And you could meet people through that. There's other, depending on, what calls to you, the first place is if what we were saying earlier, what Laura was saying earlier, if you don't have a community that you can reach out to for support, then find one. And start by just finding a group that has shared interests. And it might be crocheting or knitting or painting or pottery or a wine club, even though I no longer recommend wine clubs. That might be your interest.
Yeah.
But finding a group and just showing up, be vulnerable enough to show up, and with, it's amazing the conversations that you can have with somebody who's like-minded. And both Laura and I are moms, and so we can get in a mom's group and talk about kids, and it really doesn't matter what age. We all can relate because our kids all go through the different ages, and we can share and support and give guidance and just sit with another mom and say, I get it. Yeah, you're going to be okay. So
Right.
usually,
Right.
yeah, the knitting and the crocheting, it's about the being together. It's about the community. And we're so missing that right now in this day and age where we're all in front of our devices instead of going out and being with somebody in person.
Right. And I should say too, like a lot of people will say to me, whether it's Anton or another, whatever it is, I always, go where it feels good. Go where it feels good. Go where, when I think about a group, or people or a mentor or, a counselor, whatever it may be, wherever you're looking for support, I'm always giving advice of, is their intention empowering? Is it empowering? And yeah, because you want, and this is where, sometimes, I've worked with a lot of people that have left cults, before. And so the telltale sign is like, what is the overall intention of this person, this group, this mentor, is empowerment, not to blindly follow anything. It is to make connections that feel authentic to you. And like Laura said, like it may be, I mean, if you're in the Charlotte area, I got a great Hearts on Fiber in Davidson, North Carolina. I highly recommend. They have a phenomenal groups of knitting and crocheting. I mean, and it is a community. It's like women's version of the barber shop or the bar, back in the day. Yep. But it's all about, and if you find a group and it doesn't feel empowering to you, and it may not be like a cult type thing, of course, but if it's not that one, don't give up. And this goes back into what we were talking about before, just you keep going. I think one of those I was listening to, and I'm wonderful with names if I see them 100 times, but apparently not at first. I was listening to a lady talk yesterday. It was just on a podcast, another podcast, and I was cooking lunch, and she was talking about manifestation. And what she talked about was, one, you have to have awareness first that you're having these experiences. We're going to sum up what we did in the first part, the awareness of that. And what's really going on is something more, pausing, allowing yourself to feel, and then moving into now what. And I think it's important to ask ourselves, now what? And then now what is like, take a small action step, take a risk, be vulnerable, ask. And then she said, when it comes to, she was talking about the idea of manifestation, kind of law of attraction, but she was going much deeper into, she was a neuroscientist. And she was talking about it takes some time. If you've worn an old path out, if you've been wearing this old path and you've been walking this path, when you're beginning a new path, it takes time. And some people, when they start a path, they'll quit because they're not seeing immediate effects. But if we're patient and we're trusting that love matters, we matter, we are worthy, then eventually that path will become the new path and of empowerment. So it was very interesting because I loved how she talked about patience, not blind patience, but inner faith patience. I know that I'm worthy. I believe these things are true. I'm going to continue, and I know it's going to show up for me in some form. So, and I apologize. I normally wouldn't say that. Am I blurry for you, Laura?
Yeah, it's still blurry, but
I'm so sorry. I don't know why, everyone. So if you want to just put your hands over me and look at gorgeous Laura over there, I understand. I don't know what it is. So I thought after a while I could ignore it and it would go away, but it's making me a little dizzy. So I'm going to look at Laura too. But anyway, Laura, thoughts about that. Sometimes you just have to acknowledge the truth of what's happening in front of you. What are your thoughts about other now what's when it comes to, you know, seeking that community? Maybe, and there's books, there's great books, great mentors, great coaches. What are other things that you would recommend that you've experienced even on your path of the things that maybe we haven't talked about today yet?
Well, I was going to mention some different organizations, because if you found yourself
Great.
here and you're still listening, then you are of a similar mind, you know, with Laura and I. And so some of the organizations that I'm a part of are Centers for Spiritual Living, CSL is what they're called. And some communities are in person and virtual, and some are just virtual. And they teach classes. They have what's considered still a church service with music and messages, and so depending on where you are. And then there's other philosophies. So I grew up in the Lutheran philosophy, but it didn't answer all of my questions. And when I was in my early 30s, Robert and I came across New Thought in the form of the Church of Religious Science, the philosophy of the science of mind, or religious science. And
Can
again,
I point out that's not Scientology? Can I point that out real quick? And if you're like, I'm from the South, when you will hear, and that's all I'm going to say, but it's not Scientology. It's very, again, remember what we're talking about we're talking about empowerment, soul's wisdom. Right. You have it. And that's what New Thought does. Okay, continue. But I just wanted to make that, because people ask me that all the time. I'm like, nope, not the same. Not the same philosophy at all. Okay, go ahead.
But there might be a unity center near you, or even universalists are still a little more forward than just a Christian philosophy. But some of the other places, you said empowerment, and my women's business networking group came to mind. And we have people in the group who have full-time jobs and don't have businesses, but they came for the community. And it is an empowering, uplifting, collaborative environment. They said, I came for the sisterhood. I don't have a business. And it was people who just said, and I know another woman I met through a friend of mine's online group. She said, I went to Eventbrite to find groups and she goes, I moved, I was single, I wanted to interact with women, meet new people. There's a hiking community of all women that I haven't made it on a hike with them yet, but I watch their hikes and I see their pictures. And it's not about the hiking, right? It's the both and. There's a hike going on, so it's going to get me out of the house and go hiking. And there's someone that I can interact with. So those are just finding groups, finding communities. There's a few pathways there. But yes, there's books, there's journals now that will guide you every single day. And it just depends on, do I want to create an intentional year? Do I want to dive deep into my soul? But if you start looking for empowerment journals, daily journals, all of the different, there's so many things that you can do to dive into yourself to help learn about yourself, what wants to be healed, what wants to be released, how you can shift. A Course in Miracles. I had forgotten this, but one of my clients kept reminding me. She said, you create miracles. And I kind of looked at her sideways, and she said, well, A Course in Miracles defines a miracle as a shift in perspective.
That's right.
And so all of these tools are a shift in perspective, right? Because quite often when there's, I love the story of the 3 blind men and the elephant, right? They only have one perspective of touch. They don't get to see the whole elephant. And no, it's like a rope. No, it's a tree trunk. No, it's a wall. It's, as they're describing. But if any one of them moved to a different part of the elephant, they'd have a new perspective of what it is.
Yeah.
So it's inviting that new perspective into your own consciousness, curiosity, awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, sometimes this is such a powerful tool. Text somebody, call somebody,
Right.
reach out and just say, hey, we haven't connected in a while. I love Simon Sinek's shared, he learned this from someone else, but the expression, do you have 8 minutes? And sometimes if you haven't watched it, go look it up. The power of just saying, hey, I'm driving between here and here. I had 8 minutes. Are you available? And just that little bit of connection, or I'm taking a walk, or, voice text to say, hey, do you have 8 minutes later in the day where we can connect for just quick connection? How that affects and uplifts our nervous system, strengthens relationships. It's so powerful. And it doesn't have to be a long conversation. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to dive into my story, into my heart and whatever. It's just reach out and connect with another human.
And you're worthy of doing so. You matter. You matter. You matter. And sometimes some people will say, well, if I have, and I do agree with this at times. I've been a teacher, and again, just y'all look at Laura, you can hear my voice. You look at Laura. But sometimes it is that one teacher, the little kid that's like, hey, it's the first person that ever saw you. If they remember how that felt, the first person that ever saw you, validated you. You may have been very young. You may have not experienced that at a young age, but I do deeply believe in the value of that. And sometimes when we're adults, we may just need to go look in the mirror, and you say it to yourself. And I also don't love fake it till you make it, but I believe there is something to be said about, like, I'm going to look myself in the eyes, and I'm going to see the beauty in them, and I'm going to acknowledge that I matter. You matter because you're here. Maya Angelou, I believe, was the one that said, you are, how do you know you're worthy? Because you were born. And that was it. She had no other explanation for that. And I mean, that's kind of a wild concept to think about. So, and again, remembering when someone saw you, maybe you need to see yourself now. And I do think there is something to be said about seeing other people. I have a friend that when she's feeling kind of down and feeling a little lonely, she'll acknowledge it, feel it, and then she'll say, okay, I'm going to reach out to someone and tell them how much they mean to me. She goes into gratitude for other people, and the power of gratitude, not again to spiritually bypass what you're feeling, but she's like, I just feel like I'm getting so in my head. I'm getting so lost in my head. I'm not feeling good in my head. Let me get out of my head and think about authentically how much I love and care about this person. She would even find people through social media that she, a teacher, a former teacher, that former teacher is getting a little email or a note from her. And she said, inevitably, when I think about how wonderful sometimes when you don't have a lot of wonderful people around you, let's say you have sometimes we have those toxic environments that we're in at times, to remember those moments of people when it felt good, and remember it and say thank you. And then as you're saying thank you to them, you're saying thank you to yourself. It really, gratitude does shift things. And at the top of the list, I know I've said it before on this podcast, if you're making a gratitude list, I would hope that you would put yourself at the top. So
that's a good reminder. Yes, there's many spiritual there's many spiritual teachers who will say, as soon as you put your focus on someone else and you feel gratitude for them, you reach out and give them a compliment. So maybe you're not in a space that you want to talk to somebody
Right.
about what's going on, but you do the gratitude. I am just going to reach out and text 5 people and let them know how much I appreciate them and why.
Yeah.
Obviously, a voice text is even more powerful, but that again is it shifts. It shifts inside of you. And then going back to the mirror work, if you remember my 3 sentences, I see you. And sometimes maybe that's where you start. I see you. My second statement is I celebrate you. You're up, you're standing, you're alive. Maybe you brushed your hair today, maybe you didn't, but maybe you're dressed, maybe you're not, but you're
not.
just finding something to celebrate. And the invitation is every time you're in front of a mirror, take a half a second, look in your eyes, acknowledge the human that is reflected back at you and say, I see you. Because not everything is going wrong and not everything about you is bad. Find something to celebrate. I celebrate you. I celebrate that you're taking the second to acknowledge you. And then the third one, I love you. I love you. I love your smile. I love your eyes. I love that you're on a mission to help other people feel joy. Laura, I love it that your kids, your young adult and your teen, they like you, they hug you, right? Because of who you are. How cool is that? You're a good mom. I love you for being a good mom. Whatever it is, I see you. I celebrate you. I love you.
That feels like a mic drop moment.
Feels like a good place to start wrapping up.
I agree. I think that is it. I love that. Thank you.
Because what I wanted to mention as a place for community, Laura, and I'm going to let you speak to this.
I was like, oh yeah.
Is what you and your fabulous sisters, Maria and Wendy, have created and are creating.
Sure.
So please tell us about that.
So just briefly, this came, of course, like a lot of things out of COVID, and this is a community. It is sometimes we're figuring things out online, but right now, and we do a few things online for sure. You can find, and we have free things all the time, classes online, and sometimes we have classes or workshops that are exchanged. We're actually hosting a retreat this weekend in the North Carolina mountains. An opportunity to bring love back to the Western North Carolina mountains that have been through so much after the hurricane last year. But we are a community. We are in the Charlotte, North Carolina area as well. We do in-person things. But again, the whole point of this community is we see you. Exactly what Laura said, that we value each person as a whole person that has deep inner wisdom. And so what we like to do is give many opportunities through nature and art, sacred conversations, to find, to discover, to recognize that you are a wise, beautiful soul. And you are unique. We have universal things with us all, and then you are a unique expression of love. And we enjoy getting together and having conversations just like Laura and I are having now. So yeah, it is a community of people that are expanding consciousness and diving deeper into love and supporting one another as well. It is mostly women. There are a few men here and there that sprinkle in one, and my husband is a consistent one. But yeah, you can find us here, and we do fun things and deep things, and we laugh and we eat and all those things. So we'd love to be there for you in any way. And then Laura, explain a little bit about what you do specifically with women.
So my business is called Radiant Joy Coaching. And for me, it's about learning how everything that we have talked about so far, learning how to tap into ourselves, recognizing I am my number one priority, right? Mama is not taking care of me anymore. I'm taking care of me. I am my own responsibility. And that includes that taking care of this vessel, this vehicle that I'm going through life in. It involves my mental health, my spiritual health. And so that's where these tools come in, is how do I keep myself from diving deep into anger, fear, depression, whatever, based on the outside circumstances, and pull myself back to my divine center, to peace, to calm, to love. And so I love working with moms specifically who are feeling the pull of, quote unquote, all the things that are on her plate, and helping her to reconnect with herself and find her own center, her own compass. And then when we are operating from a space of, I am worthy, I am enough, I love myself, I like myself, and she starts taking care of herself, putting herself first, like everything else gets easier. It's the ripple effect. She has more patience to juggle everything. She has the time, taking a step back, to plan. And I love talking about the power of planning, because when you have things planned and you're ready and you packed what you need in time, or you left enough time to get to where you need to be, and it's rush hour, so you remember to give yourself that extra driving time, you're empowered, you're calmer, you're able to navigate. And so that's what I love to do, is help empower other moms to reconnect with their center. And from there, that's where just the joy. What we also talk about is our truth, presence, and love, right? Connecting with our truth, being present with ourselves first, coming from love, and then the joy just bubbles
The joy
out.
is the effect of it. I think the joy is the masterful effect of those three things. I have to say this really quickly before we go about what you were saying, where they talk about if you educate a woman in a village, you educate the entire family. I feel the same is true with self-care. If you can, if a mom honors herself, and I believe there's a balance. We're looking for harmony of the give and receive. Of course, I'm not saying all give and all receive, but I do think there's a beautiful harmony in that is very important, and women tend to give more than they receive. But if a mom really embraces that, think about how that ripples out to her and all her family, all her children, her friends, her loved ones. It just like it changes a village, it changes our homes, it changes our villages here. And I think that's a beautiful example of what you do, Laura. So what an honor. What an honor. Thank you. And again, don't know I'm blurry, but I'll just take it as a sign that I don't know. Thank you all. It was an honor to be here
And
with
if
you.
you want to connect with any of us, you can just send us an email if you're not sure how to get a hold. It's connect@its-all-love.com. It's all love. And we would love to hear from you with any thoughts, if you need any support. I love this, that a young woman was looking for support and was able to reach out, and we connected, and I was that space for her. And she just, everything has been going so swimmingly, amazingly for her, just by me holding the container, offering some ideas, letting her just, okay, I am okay, right? I reflected back to her, she was okay. So if you need any support, just send us an email. And last but not least, if any of the programs on New Thought Media Network or this program are supporting you, we do invite you to share of your financial good with a quick donation. Not quick necessarily, but a one-time or recurring gift.
It isn't hard to do, actually. Yeah, it is actually pretty quick.
All right. So with that, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again next week, same time, 4 o'clock Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And here we go.
On
Bye.
behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.